It was a bright Friday morning when Tom received news that would irrevocably alter his life. For the past 8 years, he had always trusted his wife, Sarah, without a second thought. Their marriage, while not perfect, was built on a foundation of trust. At least that's what Tom believed. Recently, Sarah had been spending increasing amounts of time at work, claiming she had extra projects to finish. Tom, wanting to support her, didn't question her. He accepted her explanation that the late hours were due to a new account the company had landed. However, there were small signs that began to trouble him. He noticed Sarah's sudden obsession with her appearance. She was taking more time to get ready and often changed outfits multiple times before heading out. Additionally, there were the secretive texts and the whispered phone calls she took in another room, which raised his suspicions. One day, Sarah announced that she would be going on a work trip with her team to Miami for a week. She had been discussing the trip for weeks, emphasizing its importance for her career, and Tom didn't want to seem like an overbearing husband. So, despite a nagging feeling in his gut that something was off, he encouraged her to go. The day before her departure, Tom noticed a distinct change in Sarah's demeanor. She seemed more distant than usual, and when he hugged her goodbye at the airport, he sensed a coldness in her embrace. It felt detached, as if she was eager to leave rather than sad to part. A few days into Sarah's trip, Tom received an unexpected call from one of her coworkers, Jessica. Jessica was not supposed to be on the trip, but she had heard unsettling rumors and felt compelled to reach out to Tom. With a hesitant tone, she began, "I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you this, but Sarah didn't go on a work trip. She went on vacation with our colleague, Mark. They'd been seeing each other for months." The words hit Tom like a truck, and his heart raced as disbelief washed over him. He felt as though the ground beneath him had vanished. To make sense of the situation, he began investigating. He combed through Sarah's emails, scoured her social media, and analyzed their phone bills. The more he dug, the more he confirmed what Jessica had revealed. Sarah and Mark had indeed been having an affair for months, and her so-called work trip was nothing more than a cover for a romantic getaway. Tom felt a wave of sickness wash over him, overwhelmed by feelings of betrayal and fury. How could Sarah do this to him? How could she lie so effortlessly, weaving a web of deceit over the years? Instead of confronting her immediately, Tom decided to take a more calculated approach. He needed time to process the depth of the betrayal he had just uncovered. He reflected on their years together, the trust they had built, and the promises they had made to one another. But above all, he wrestled with the realization that this betrayal was unforgivable. Sarah had crossed a line, and there would be no going back from this. When she returned from her trip, Tom resolved that things would not be as she left them. He would ensure that she faced the consequences of her actions. Tom decided to change the locks on their house. He took a week off work, during which he packed all of Sarah's belongings and stored them in the garage. The task was not easy. There were moments when he broke down, staring at old photos that captured their happier days together. Yet, he knew he couldn't let his emotions hinder his resolve. The final blow came when Sarah sent him a photo from Miami, pretending to be with her colleagues at a conference. In reality, she was lounging on a beach with Mark. Tom couldn't help but smile bitterly, fully aware of what awaited her upon her return. When the day finally arrived, Sarah walked up to their house, suitcase in hand, only to find that the locks had been changed. Confusion washed over her as she tried to call Tom, but he didn't pick up. After several frantic attempts, he finally answered the phone, but his voice was cold and distant. "I know everything, Sarah. I know about Mark, the lies, the cheating. Your things are in the garage. I've already filed for divorce." He hung up before she could respond, leaving Sarah in shock. She stood on the porch, tears streaming down her face, grappling with the magnitude of her actions. Meanwhile, Tom was resolute. He had already spoken to a lawyer, filed the necessary paperwork, and set the wheels of the divorce in motion. There was no turning back now. The divorce process was painful, but he was determined to see it through. Sarah didn't fight back much. She understood she had destroyed their marriage with her betrayal, and there was no hope of saving it. Despite the emotional turmoil, Tom found peace in his decision. While he mourned the loss of the relationship they once shared, he recognized that this chapter of his life needed to close for him to move forward. As months passed, he began to rebuild his life. He focused on his career, reconnected with friends, and started the long process of healing from the emotional wounds inflicted by Sarah's betrayal. The road to recovery was not easy, but gradually, Tom rediscovered himself. He no longer saw himself as a victim of betrayal. Instead, he viewed himself as someone who had taken control of his life when everything had fallen apart. One day, Tom met someone new, a woman who was kind, patient, and understanding of his past. They took their time, allowing their relationship to develop slowly. For the first time in a long time, Tom felt genuinely happy. He realized that the end of his marriage had led him to a new beginning, one where trust and love could be rebuilt. This time, he was with someone who truly valued him. As for Sarah, her relationship with Mark didn't last long. It crumbled under the weight of guilt and the harsh reality of their actions. In the end, Sarah was left with nothing but regret, reflecting on the choices she had made. On the other hand, Tom found a way to move forward, emerging stronger than ever. While betrayal had shattered his marriage, it also provided him with a second chance at happiness, an unexpected opportunity for which he was grateful. Ultimately, this was the best ending he could have hoped for.